In the webinar you're about to watch, myself and a special guest, Connor McCluskey, the CEO and founder of BombBomb, talk all about video, all about avatars. Can avatars work? Do they make sense? Should we be using them? Should we be only be doing human videos? You're going to hear a lot of opinion, but mostly we wanted to ask hard questions. We wanted to start conversation so that you could feel like you have space to explore. I'll give you a teaser. It's not a avatars versus humans. It's more of a how do avatars and human videos work together to be efficient, but also continue to build on that trust and relationship that we know that the human videos provide. Take a look. Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday, February 18th. What an amazing day. I know in Colorado, it's like uncharacteristically pretty right now. It's like 70 degrees and like way nicer than what we're used to doing. So, we're dealing with that. But would love to hear from you all. You guys know that this is a conversation. Would love to hear where you're at today, what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and make sure we've got all the chat settings set up so that we can all see everyone's chats and hear everyone. But if you want to go ahead and pull the chat open and start throwing in where you are from, would love to just hear it. We have people from all over the world that jump into these webinars. And so it's really fun to kind of
Oregon,
see that
here we
community.
go.
So yeah, we already got some. Oregon, Arizona, Scottsdale. Perfect.
Damn.
And the Canadians are
Whoa,
jumping in early from Montreal. So I
boom.
love that.
Atlanta,
Um,
Central
well, well,
Florida.
well, good morning, everybody. We are so excited that you're here. I'm going to go through a minute or two of housekeeping while everybody just kind of jumps in. I like to answer some of the questions we know that we typically get. And then, holy cow, have we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So we're going to jump in and we're going to just try and kind of get to the meat and potatoes of this whole thing as quickly as possible. But first and foremost, chat. Like I said earlier, this is meant to be a conversation. Hence why we're calling this series The Conversation Continues. It's like we want you to be involved in this. The chat is an amazing place to throw thoughts, throw things that you've done that are working for you, throw strategies, throw questions in. We have, I would argue, the greatest community of people that's ever been assembled. We love our BombBomb community. And what's beautiful about it is so many of you are using video and challenging yourselves and learning what's working. Let's learn from each other. Let's do this. Let's really dive in from that angle. So chat's amazing for that. Now, if there's something specifically that you don't want us to miss as the hosts, we want to hear what you're asking about. We want to answer your questions as much as we can as well. So the QA button is one of the only kind of differences between some of the webinar stuff and the meetings if you use Zoom on a regular basis. QA is great just because you can see chat gets going a little crazy sometimes. So QA is a really good place for us to monitor to make sure we're not missing questions. So if it's something that you're going, I know I'm not the only one curious about this. I want to make sure that they can touch on this. We always try to leave a few minutes at the end of the webinar for that. And if it's something really pertinent to what we're talking about, we'll keep an eye on that and try and cover that as well. So those are kind of the two big things. Make sure you get in there and kind of be a part of the conversation with us. The other thing that, of course, I know we'll get these questions, even though we touch on it now, we are always recording these. So just know we are recording this. We always post them on YouTube within a day or two as well. So if you go to YouTube and look at the BombBomb account, you'll find it there. And we will always send a follow up as well for you guys. So just know that we are recording it. If you have to leave earlier, if you miss something, or if we breeze something, or whatever it may be, you can always come back to that. So yeah, just wanted to kind of set the level set there for the first few minutes. It looks like the numbers have slowed down a smidge. So let's go ahead and just kind of jump into this. And first and foremost, for those of you that have never been to one of these before, my name's Kevin Andrews. I've been at BombBomb for a very long time. I'll go ahead and share this. You can see a little bit. It's got my title and stuff on it as well. But I've been here for 9.5 years. I'm the product enablement manager. I'm helping out with the CS side of the house. Been hosting these webinars for a really long time. But what I think is fun is I have been in the thick of this with you all. I've been recording and sending videos for 9 years. So I have learned a heck of a lot in that time. And I just like saying that to let you know we're not just preaching this to you, we're living it as well. On that note, what's really exciting, those of you who've been with BombBomb for a long time already see a name and a face you probably recognize, but a wonderful person we don't get to have on the webinars quite as often as would be amazing because he's busy. This is Connor McCluskey. Connor is the CEO and founder of BombBomb. So, Connor, good morning. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Kevin. Yeah, Kevin, you've been here for over, 8 years going on 10. This year will be my 20th anniversary for founding BombBomb. So Yeah, it has been a crazy ride. And it's probably the most exciting time to be in technology. Great to meet you, Gregory. Yeah, I'm really excited for, for all of you that don't know the story of Bomb Bomb, I'll kind of give the quick kind of like
Yeah.
Cliff Notes version was back in the early, 2000s, I was a door-to-door billboard salesman, and I had built up my business to about 150 customers. And I was doing marketing consultant and trying to add value to all of my customers. And every time I would leave a meeting with one of my customers that was face to face, I was like, man, I wish I could do more of that. How do I scale me? How do I scale that personal connection, that face to face? If I could just get in front of my customers every month, those 150 people, customers, I would sell more billboards. And so I was like, there's got to be a software out there that does this. And this was in the early email marketing days. And I was like, man, if I could just send myself to all 150 people saying thank you, or, whatever it was to connect with them in a real human way, every month, I'd sell more billboards. And so no companies were doing it. Created a quick video, hosted it on a server in our sales office, put together an email list, sent it off, and within 48 hours, I had 30 emails and about 40 phone calls to my cell phone, because in my video I put in a little call me here. And that was the genesis of actually building Bomb Bomb, and that was the start of it. So it's been a great 20 years. That was actually more than 20 years ago, but when we
Yeah.
formed the company, yeah, and immediately I was just under the assumption that everyone would do this. And it is so obvious. And we've been through so many technology cycles through the years here. And we're in the beginning of our next huge one, probably the biggest of all of our lifetimes, um, which is really exciting. And the crazy thing is I get reactions from people I send bomb bombs to every week going, that's what you do. That's
Mm.
amazing. I've never gotten one of those. Thank you so much. And that human connection, which is we are losing more and more every day, Bomb Bomb's a way to bring that back together. So
Well,
anyway,
it's
we'll,
as
we'll
you can
get
all
we'll
see,
get to more of that.
Connor's pretty passionate about all this. So he's going to have a lot of just awesome context to throw into this. And what's cool too, and why I'm so thrilled that he's here, is because it's not just he loves the human elements. We love the personalized video element, but also he's been bringing up so much of the conversation around what we're talking about today, which is avatars, which is we've got to be curious about this. We've got to research this. We've got to understand this. So what we're kind of talking about today, here's a little bit of an agenda of what we're going to touch base on. First and foremost, we do want to cover kind of this level set. You guys know I like to set a really good framework so we're all in mutual understanding of the trust problem. What's going on in the world? What are we feeling kind of from that level? From that point, we're going to go to an idea of kind of the decision framework. You probably noticed in a lot of the marketing content that we sent out for this, our description, those sort of things, we are not here to go, we got to pick avatars or human videos. We're choosing sides and we're going forward, right? No, it's we want to figure out how can we sort of make this work together, and we want to give you a decision framework to think about what type of video do I send when in some of those pieces. So we'll jump into that, and then we're gonna play kind of a fun game at the end here. I know one of the things so many of you said last month, which we heard your feedback, was we want to see some examples from people. Well, we're gonna do that. We're gonna show you some human examples, but we're gonna make it in kind of a fun sort of game there, which I think will be really nice as well. So let's just sort of dive in. And one thing I was thinking actually, Connor, while you were talking, just to level set 20 years ago for all of us, when you were doing that initial like billboard sales thing, the iPhone wasn't even out yet. I think become so accustomed to having quick, easy record and send. We don't even realize or remember what that time was like, but that was like pre iPhone 1 when you couldn't do that on your phone. So it was real when people were like, oh my gosh, how'd you do that? That's why it was
Mhm.
shocking in that regard, right?
I literally, for our first 10 customers, I actually went out and shot the videos of every single person that sent out a BombBomb
That's
video.
right. You like drove out to them,
It
right?
was it was a part of the subscription. We charged $1,200 a month, and a part of that was me coming out and recording your video for you.
Well, my gosh, we've come a long way since then, huh?
It was nuts. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, believe it or not.
Well, let's sort of level set. I think it's interesting. You can probably see this screen that we've got pulled up here, the trust problem. I think a lot of you are probably going in a lot of different directions with this thought. But I thought what's really interesting when we start talking about this is one of the biggest things I've heard when I bring up the avatar thing, and honestly, an internal thought I have sometimes is like, how do I feel about that? Does it make me feel good? Am I nervous about this? How do I feel? And I think a lot of us are sort of wrestling with that to some degree. So I'm going to throw a poll up here and would just love for you guys to take 2 seconds and answer it. I'm going to sort of keep talking as we do this, but really, I'm just curious how you all are feeling about receiving or using videos with avatars in them. Is that something you're really interested in? Do you love it? Are you excited? Is it something you're really nervous about? You can see I even threw kind of a funny one on the back there like, are we talking about the James Cameron movie Avatar? Like, where are we? I don't know what's going on. I don't care where you are in this process. It's okay. We're all here together. We're all exploring. We're all doing this. But I think what's interesting about this, as we get a few more answers, I'll let this poll run for a few more seconds, is us trying to determine this kind of issue with trust. I was looking up, and actually, if you look in the files in the webinar, you'll see I did upload this. There is an amazing sales report, the Edelman Trust Barometer, that comes out every year, where they're judging and they're interviewing about trust. Where are we at from a trust perspective worldwide? And it's not just business wise, it's they're asking about a lot of different things. But what they're seeing universally right now, that I'm sure a lot of us are feeling, is that trust is going down. This universal assumption of trust is not peaking. And I've got some stats here. You can see I just shared the poll and the quiz and stuff. So you can see we're kind of all across the board today, which is really fun. We've got some people that are really excited about it. We've got some people that are used to it. We got some people that don't like it. That's okay. We're all here together. We're all going to kind of talk on different elements of this. So thank you for answering that. But I want you to look at some of these pieces of data points that I pulled from this report. So again, if you look in the files in the Zoom here, you can download this report. It's a beast. It's heavy. It's not a quick read, I'll tell you that. But here's some things that really stood out to me. 30% of adults surveyed across 30 countries believe most people can be trusted. That was sad to me a little bit, right? Only 30% of people think most people can be trusted right now. Okay. 70% of people have adopted an insular mindset. Now, that was a new term for me. I learned that this week. This idea of we want to go hear about people talk about what we agree with. And we all know social media has kind of built this a little bit where we can just go like, I don't want to work with or talk to people that agree differently. I want to just go be surrounded by people that agree with me and share my worldview in whatever regard. So 70% of people have basically said I've adopted that to some degree. 65% globally worry that media is being contaminated with falsehoods. They don't know if they can trust what they're seeing on the news. And then that last one there, 95% say recent events have impacted their trust. So, yeah, I think we can all agree that different elements of COVID and inflation and politics and elections. Now, we're not going to sit here and go, let's talk about world leaders and judge that. I think more than we want to get into any debates about any of those specific things is just going, it's affecting all of us. We're all feeling this. Connor, you and I have had a lot of conversations about this with our team, with individually with each other, about going, this is really hard. So when we start talking about video and technology and avatars, we have to have an understanding of how is this feeling? How are people reacting to this? So I don't know, Connor, if any of these stats kind of stick out to you specifically. Throw in chat if there's some that stick out to you guys as well, or if you feel like you relate to that as well. But do these kind of reflect how you're feeling a little bit, Connor, right now?
Yeah, I mean, as I have conversations with friends, colleagues, stuff like that, I think we've entered the post-trust world.
Mm.
I was in a leadership program in Cambridge last year, and they were talking through the largest problems that we face as leaders. And trust in digital media was one of the top three. And it really resonated with me being in this business of technology and media and it really hit me how much of a problem this is and how much of an opportunity, the optimist that I am, of not just sticking my head in the sand and actually engaging with this and trying to and try and bring solutions to this problem because, relationships has always been a core value of Bomb Bomb, and relationships are built on trust, and that's a two-way road that goes back and forth. It's
Yeah.
not a one-way road; it's a two-way road, and for us to build trust and relationships is core to the human experience. And so I just believe that it's a really important topic that is not being talked a lot about, especially in the speed that we're going with technology these days.
Yeah. And that's part of it, right? We have to take both accounts into element. You're gonna hear us talk about both sides of this coin a lot today. Scalability. How do we do things at a scale that's expected of us? But also, how do we know when to really lean in? So I wanted to, I don't want to spend a ton of time on these elements, but again, level setting of starting to think about how are we processing as humans. So the first thing I wanted to think about is how do we assess other humans? How are we kind of taking people in? So these are the top things when you look from a competence perspective and from a I'm going to build trust with this person. These are the top five things they say from a psychological perspective that we evaluate and that we look at. So you can see warmth, competence, authenticity, accountability, and then emotional calibration. Okay, cool. So those are all kind of deeper things. I think we can all relate to different elements of that. Um, I think it's really interesting to also look at how we build trust specifically, vulnerability, consistency, responsiveness. The reason I bring some of these things up is because we have to consider these when we're looking at using AI avatars versus we're looking at we need to do that personal video. A stat here that I think we've all probably heard to some degree, but I re-looked it up to verify, was how quickly do we build that first impression of somebody? So what I found is that we typically build a first impression from as quickly as 1/10 of a second up to, if we're taking a little bit longer, it takes us 7 seconds to build our first impression of someone. This is really, really important. Again, when we're considering where do we use our true, like human, authentic type video self, and where do we allow ourselves to explore with avatars and do some of those things, we have to understand how people are building that trust and how quickly that's happening. First impressions are massive. It's really hard to reshape a first impression. We talk about this with our son all the time. I have an 11-year-old, and sometimes he tries to be really funny and jokey and says inappropriate things. And I'm like, buddy, it's once somebody's built that impression of you, it takes a heck of a lot longer than 1/10 of a second to reframe that, right? So if we start thinking about that when it comes to business, some stats I think that are really good, again, for us to just understand. 88% of customers say trust is a deal breaker when choosing a brand. Melissa, I think you said, I think I saw you post something earlier. It's like, if I trust something, if it's from a product that I like and know and trust, I will always continue to listen because they've built that. They've built that reputation with me. Well, guess what? You're not alone in that. 88% of people are saying the exact same thing. And 60% will buy from a brand they trust, even if it's not the cheapest option. I think it's always good. People are going to say a lot of things, but I also think it's really good for us to explore and to understand people speak with their actions. And let's be honest, people speak with their money when it comes to business, right? We're going to choose something that we believe in and trust in. And I know a lot of you work in industries that are really big decisions, really big purchases. We have to understand how important this is to them. They're willing to pay more, they're willing to stick with somebody they trust even if it's not quote unquote like the cheapest, quickest, whatever option that we're looking at there. So this sort of outlines a little bit deeper of what we need to evaluate and how avatars may or may not be good solutions for some of these things. I think one of the things that a good percentage of you answered is I'm a little skeptical of these. If I receive one, I don't know if I can trust it right away. I don't know if I should believe it. How do I feel about it? And I think right now we're sort of in this phase of going, something feels wonky, but I don't really have definition to it. Well, hopefully, as we're starting to evaluate how we build trust, how we build that connection with people, we can start to sort of understand this, right? Deep fakes. I mean, that was kind of the first iteration of avatars before they were accessible to everybody. That feels crazy. My wife and I watched a video this week of a weight loss thing where they're using celebrities as their spokespeople. These celebrities have never said the things that they're saying, have never worked with this doctor, are not using these products. that starts to feel a little bit unsettling. It feels a little nerve-wracking. Can we trust it or not? So subconsciously, we're all looking for certain human elements, these micro expressions, this imperfection. I could go for days on that topic alone, right? Of being authentic and how authenticity is not perfect in every step and way. But again, these are just things that are really, really good. So we have to take all of this information and go, cool. AI avatars can be really helpful. It's really accelerating communication, but trust is a really hard thing to scale. How do we do that? How do we start to kind of decide how important is trust? How important is the scaling piece of it? These are the things that I think a lot of us are trying to understand without the right words and definition to it. So, Connor, I do want to give you a second as we sort of jump into this decision making thing, because I know people are anxious to start getting into, okay, how do I evaluate this and start thinking about it? But what stands out to you with all that information? Thinking about buying behaviors, thinking about how integral trust is to it, thinking about how avatars, maybe don't include all the things we need to build trust. Where do you sort of land, right, from a high level on all that?
Well, I always get back to like core values. So one of our core values is to build trust. And so as we evaluate technology, as we look at the roadmap, as you play with technology, as you explore it, as you're curious about it, um, I mean, my guess is the deep fake things, if you have teenagers, it scares the living crap out of me.
Okay, fair
Like
enough.
I have just frankly, yeah, and I'm sure probably everybody on here is looking, how do I scale my business? How do I give better customer service? How do I scale myself? All of these things. And ultimately, when every time I see the word deep fake and I think about those things, um, it's scary for parents. Yes. Um, it, uh, it it we just have to take a second. This stuff, I mean, I mentioned this earlier. Um, in this race that we're in, I think everybody needs to be very mindful of the consequences of this going the wrong way,
Mm,
and breaking trust and your reputation and all of that, and getting back to kind of neutral. I read an article yesterday on productivity with AI, and people are more productive than they are that they ever have been. But the burnout is coming much faster for people.
mm,
And so when you think about the human side of things and just what we can metabolize and what we can do, I think we just need to stop and ask the question of how am I? How am I doing? What are the values that I have? And when I think about these new technologies and as I'm curious about them, like, how does that align with what I'm trying to do, the value I'm trying to bring? And most of the people that resonate with Bomb Bomb typically are in a very, emotional sale, or want to be more connected with their customers, and so when you're looking at these technologies, I would run them through the lens of your core values or your principles and stuff like that. And in a world that is moving so fast and it feels like you're being left behind, I would say the core values and who we are. I believe humans win ultimately. I saw Terminator on here, like all of that. And I'm not here to like scare anybody. I'm just asking people, hey, let's ask a question. Let's have a conversation. Let's really look at these things, because ultimately what we might gain in the short term ultimately might hurt us in the long term.
Mm.
And I think of this as a long-term thing. Been doing this for 20 years. There's ups and downs, there's new technology, all of
Yeah.
that. And so, the get rich quick thing, like it is a thing, and AI is moving so fast.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting, but at the same time, I would say, hey, let's take a look at this. Living in the present is the hardest thing for me to do.
Mm.
And I think tomorrow is not guaranteed for anybody, including myself. And I would just add that kind of flavor to all of this because, I've talked to people that have been hurt by this technology, and I'm actively testing this technology. I'm actively using my image and likeness and giving this to the machine and stuff like that. And there's things that we just need to calculate and remind ourselves that, like, in a trustless world, maybe coming back to truth for ourselves and asking ourselves a few questions as a level set in order to start engaging with these technologies, because they are very exciting and they are very powerful, and there are some really cool use cases that I've experienced and worked through. So
Well, and I
anyway,
think what's
sorry, I might
interesting
have got
about
off on a
this,
little tangent. Sorry, everybody.
no,
Didn't
that's
mean
okay.
to, like,
I mean, honestly,
I got some,
a lot
yeah.
of people are saying, Connor, thank you for the thoughtfulness. Like, we appreciate the deep level of this. And I also want to let you guys know, like, we're exploring avatars as a video company as well and going, like, how does this look? What does this look like? Can we provide this and feel like this still fits with what we promote as a human-centered company, right? So we're asking a lot of these questions and playing with this. So I think what's really important and what I've seen in chat as well as listening to you talk, Connor, is this idea of there have been several stories of like, I fell for this video and bought something. I bought a face cream or something and it was a completely fake video, or I fell for this. I think what's a continued reminder for me as we're talking with so many salespeople like all of you, regardless of what industry you're in, is also remember what it's like to be the recipient. And we've talked about that from the human-centered element with the book we wrote years ago. I mean, this has been a thing for a long time here at Bomb Bomb, but remember what it's like to feel the opposite way. And sometimes it can be really easy in a sales role to go, I've got to get my activities done. I got to get my videos out. I've got to do this. So maybe avatars feel easier in that sense at that moment. But also remember, man, how would I feel if I received this in this situation? And so that's kind of what I want to jump into and start diving into a little bit more for you is to give you some context. We're not sitting here saying avatars are the worst, stay away from them, they're ruining the world, right? We don't personally believe that. We think there can be really interesting places for them to explore. So it's really good to start thinking about what are avatars really good at. We've sort of mentioned this in different words, but the idea of like multipliers of they can be really good assistants. They can be really good proxies for these kind of lower value moments. They're an amazing tool for scalability. One of the things we've played with a little bit is how could we take a human video that's recorded and maybe replace a word or two in it? So it's not a completely fake video, but we've used some of this avatar technology to replace a person's name or replace a role or an industry, these little moments. Connor's got a few things to say on this for sure.
I definitely have a few things. So over the last year, I've been deep in this avatar thing with our tech teams and developing, like, actually understanding the technology and the different things here. And it's really interesting because I get back to kind of the core, and, like, as a company, I'll make a statement here, and I think this is, you know, probably true for anybody that wants to work with us as a company. If this is not you, Bomb Bomb's probably not for you. But as a company, we don't ever want to trade authenticity or trust for deception. And so, like, and and I've talked to hundreds of people that have come up to me, hundreds of people that say, well, can you just do all of this stuff for me so I don't have to do this? Can't you just make like years ago, I remember somebody coming up to me at a conference and saying, "Can you just have something make this for me and then it'll build the relationship for me?" And I go, and I was like, "Hey, that's magic." And when I said that, the guy said, "How do I buy this magic?" And ultimately that is what avatars are doing. Like one of our biggest problems has been in in us actually being able to record videos. People don't like the way they look. They don't
Mhm.
like the way they sound. This has been a problem for 20 years. And so one of the things that we've been working on or contemplating is, and I got a little screenshot that I'm going to give an example of, but like, see that? What if in the, you know, in this world of, hey, avatars or not, maybe there is an option for avatars, but you want to let people know that it's an avatar.
Mm.
And it's all about, it's not about, I'm going to trick somebody into thinking that this is personal, but there may be a value for this medium, but you got to let people know that it is an avatar. So it's just it's a way of looking at it, or in the opposite of it, verifying that this is a human video. And there's a movement on for technology to do that, and we're a part of that. So,
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point, and I'm going to kind of keep showing some slides just so we keep rolling through this, so you guys can
yep.
explore more and more as we're talking through this. But I think it's really interesting. Avatar doesn't have to mean distrust. It doesn't have to mean disconnection. Can we be honest? What if we are honest about that this is an avatar, and here's why we've chosen to use that, and we're telling that to the recipient versus trying to confuse them or you use the word deception, right? Into thinking, we're doing this for them specifically. I think that could potentially be trust building because we're being honest about our experience and we're letting them know. Connor, you and I went through a whole training platform that we've had access to here at BombBomb, all about AI in general, not just avatars, but they used avatars for their trainers in these courses. Guess what the first thing they told us at the beginning of that course was? These are avatars that we have chosen to use because it helps us scale and keep up with these trainings, keep the content as up to date as possible because we don't have to go back into a studio and re record every time, right? So we knew right up front, oh, okay, I'm still seeing a real person. This is based on a real person. I know this is not them recording all of these different courses. So they were honest with that. And I think that's really what's interesting as you're looking at some of these, avatars are great for this, humans are great for this. In general, if we kind of go high level on this and give you something to start thinking about, I really want you to start thinking about that avatars can be effective. One, I was actually looking up some research this morning on this that avatar videos can actually increase engagement sometimes over human videos. There are data and research and polls that go, oh, if avatar videos performed more effectively. However, what are we losing in that as well? And that's where some of that trust piece comes into play. So if we use the avatars of going, we know video gets increased engagement. We want to have the effectiveness of that. We want them to be able to see our face and sort of get to know who we are. Is there an opportunity to use that from a scalable? I'm just giving information. I'm just giving this. I don't need the emotional element of it. This is not a deeply personal piece of communication that I'm trying to get out. Maybe that's sort of how we start to navigate some of these things, right? So interesting way to think about this is avatars can scale communication, humans scale the connection piece. And of course we always like alliteration, we like when things start with the same letters, that's always fun. But the communication versus connection I think is a really, really intentional great way to start thinking about this. I have had a few people in chat that were asking of like, oh, are you going to like show us some avatars, are you going to give us some context for this? I do want to show you one. This is an avatar of me. And Connor, you and I have done this together where we've gone through and done kind of the test recordings to create avatars and just played, right? We were just exploring and playing. This is one of me directly. And let me go ahead and I want to go full screen on this so you guys can all see it a little bit better. But I want to play this and I would love for you to throw in chat. What does this feel like? What do I get from this? What does this garner from me as the recipient? Because again, it's important to think from that human element of how do I feel receiving this if I'm going to think about sending these. So take a look at this. Hey there, we are excited to share that your digital replica is ready to go. Now that you've got your digital twin, we are excited to see the creative ways you leverage our API to serve your customers. You can reference your replica and begin testing scripts right now. Our vision is to personalize every play. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us with any feedback. And if you create a video that really stands out to you, don't hesitate to share that as well. We love hearing about our replicas making an impact. So I know there's a little bit of a delay on Zoom and things, so take that into account, right? There is some of those technical things, but uh what do you think? Throw some stuff in chat. I already see a few things, right? Like looks very realistic. The hand motions feel a little bit off. No change, pretty nice. I do prefer you. Oh, thanks, Joseph. I appreciate that. There's not much in it. No problem with it. I like a live person better. It does look real. It's okay, right? What's so fascinating about this is the gamut of responses, right? Like I've got pretty strong personal responses, and then I hear other people seeing myself in that. I'm not gonna lie, makes my skin crawl. It makes me just go like, oh, that doesn't feel like me at all. And yet, a lot of you are going, that looks pretty good. I thought that looked a lot like you. And so I think this is just that context of going, man, humans are just, we vary so much on our expectations, on our needs, on the things that we're wanting from this. It's interesting. And there's some questions. Is it your voice? That is based off a video I recorded. I did not say any of that text at all in that video. So to give you guys a little bit more details on that, I did record an example video and then it was taken, they typed in the message and used kind of my recordings and those things on it. So what do you think about it, Connor? I mean, I know you've done a lot of yourself, so you've got some of that personal reflection, but seeing that, seeing people's responses, I don't know. What are your kind of your thoughts overall on some of this?
Yeah, I think people are it's amazing to me the difference in response.
Mm-hmm.
And just the I couldn't tell that wasn't you to I don't like it, right? And so I think somebody asked um like they people don't like it, people really like it. Is Bonbon gonna add this? This is something we've been developing and testing for a long time. What I would say is it's it we won't launch something until we think it's really really good and it's going to work and the use case is right and all of that. And so there's a lot of complexity on both the legal side, I would say, on using people's consent to be able to record these videos. And we just want to make sure that all of those things are in place. So to answer the question, not yet. And I would say, it's something we've been playing with for a long time. Connor, please.
Yeah, there's a lot of people saying, launch this, give it to us. We want to play with it, right?
Yep,
So I
yeah.
love that. I
And
like
I
that
would love
excitement.
to we'll be able to get all of this. So Kevin, maybe we could have give people a sneak peek at some of this technology.
Heck yeah. We
Um,
we
you
love
know,
we love letting the community that shows up get sneak peeks before other people do and beta stuff. So
yep.
um yeah, but
Yeah.
that's fine. And there was questions of like, what system did you use? This is some of the stuff we're kind of playing with on the back end here, right? So I didn't use an outside system. And I, by the way, none of us are here to speak poorly of any avatar companies, promote any avatar companies. We're talking really high level on this, right? There's a lot of great companies that are getting better and better. And I've actually seen a few people talk about it too, of like, it almost makes me more nervous if they get better, because then I really won't be able to tell the difference. And yeah, I relate. I can feel that too. Like, I think we all connect to a degree on that. Now, not to throw another wrench in this system, but I do want to throw this slide up here because we've been talking a lot about the humans versus avatars component. What about text? What about just standard text emails and communication? One of the funny things when I've talked with a lot of brand new people is, do I need to only send videos with every piece of communication? I think a lot of us can sit here and say, no, that's probably not true, right? I've told people that all the time. You're not going to only send video communication from here on out. And so I think it's interesting to start being, again, intentional about what am I trying to get across? What am I needing from this? There's times when you get an email from somebody that's like, oh, hey, I forgot what time we're meeting. Would you remind me? I'm not going to record you a 15-second video going, oh, we're meeting at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Can't wait to see you. Is that a horrible experience? No. But is it a needed experience? Is that helping them understand more effectively than me just going like, oh yeah, I'll see you at 10 tomorrow? And then they can read it and they move on with their lives. These are the things that we need to start kind of understanding. And one of the actual interesting things, again, we're provoking here, right? We're asking some interesting questions, and I love chat's been amazing. I can't wait to go review and see all the stuff that I've been missing on this because you guys are throwing really awesome stuff in there. But there is this idea when you're thinking about text versus an avatar, if we compare those two, of going, avatars are sort of simulating humans. So they're kind of simulating some emotions and hand motions and gestures and those sort of things. Does that feel like it's a little bit of a performance where text is just straightforward? It just is what it is, right? We're not trying to simulate or fake any of those elements. Is that clearer and better on any of those sort of things? I don't know, right? I just saw a question from Charles too. Connor, you and I were talking about this yesterday. A great potential use for an avatar is this idea of other languages, multilingual. How can we use these things?
Yep.
I mean, that's one you brought up as like I see huge benefit in the ability to take a video and use an avatar to put it in a language that's more receptive for a recipient there. Talk on that a little bit, just knowing that that was brought up on its own as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's an obvious use case, right? And it's the technology for that's really good. We with our transcription technology, and some of the technology we've been playing with is lip sync technology on the AI side. And that's where it really it gets exciting because you can just swap through, 175 languages. So when you send that and somebody wants to understand what you're saying in Spanish, like that can just be swapped over to Spanish in real time. It's really interesting. So it is that's like one of the cool, exciting parts that does add that human connection in. That could really be a real positive thing where it's like you can use this technology to do really cool stuff and
Mm-hmm.
stuff that we're working on. So
Yeah, it's funny too. There's a lot of people agreeing with a lot of that too. And Baxter, you threw something in there that was like, how do we know you guys aren't already your avatar selves on this webinar right now?
he caught us. He
So,
caught us.
yeah, you finally figured it out, Baxter. You caught us red-handed.
I'm
So
out on a bike ride.
yeah, totally. All right, so let's start looking at this and be a little bit more kind of intentional, more specific. We've talked about kind of the scaling, the communication versus the connection element. Let's start looking at this in real sort of business sense. What does that look like? So I want you to think from like a sales customer communication standpoint. What are some real use cases of what avatars could be great for and what a human could be great for? Now, the beauty of this, as I've been looking at chat, so many of you are literally listing some of these things out. And I think that's amazing because we're already being intentional. We're already thinking through this. So the sort of process, the what to expect element. Somebody had mentioned frequently asked questions earlier. Somebody had talked about what were some of the other ones I had seen? One of the ones we talked about, Connor, was how many of you work in an industry where you need them to find a calendar link or you need them to get to a portal to input data or information? These are amazing opportunities to be able to send a video. You don't have to go re-record it every time, but okay, cool. Here are the steps to get there. That's not an emotional communication. That's not something that they need a lot of that context. It's just, here's my website. You're going to go here, click this, log in, upload your stuff. Okay, maybe that could be a really good opportunity to use the increased engagement so that they get the information and the knowledge, the communication piece of it. We don't need that emotional side, that connection piece. When you start looking at the human side, right? Intro videos of I want to establish that first impression that we talked about earlier. Recaps, that wouldn't necessarily feel great if I met with Connor, got a recap from him, and all of a sudden it doesn't feel like the person I just met with for whatever reason, right? That I'm looking for those sensors that I'm not getting back. Something could feel off there. Follow-ups, deal acceleration follow-ups, personalized demos. You can see these are all much more emotionally centered pieces of communication than other things. So let's even dive a little bit deeper and go into some of specific industries, and we won't spend a ton of time on these because I do want to show you some examples and kind of go through some of the client examples that we were talking about earlier. But I know we have a lot of people that are in the mortgage industry. right? I bet some of these connect with you really quickly. And think about this too, as again, we're putting our recipient hat on, we're putting our buyer hat on a lot in this as well. We've bought homes. A lot of us have had to use a loan officer to purchase a home. How would it have felt if you received something like this, whether it was an avatar or a human? I know for me, if I'm getting introduced to a person, I don't know that I would like that as an avatar as much, but I do like it when it's a personal thing and I can sort of go, yeah, I trust this person. I can lean in. I'm pulling all those cues, right? Building loyalty, handling frustration or anxiety. Oh my gosh, we're talking about a lot of money in the loan world. What if it's not going through right? What if we're not getting approved for what we thought? What if whatever? That wouldn't feel great necessarily coming from a not real version of you because we can't get that empathy in those feelings. However, when it's literally, hey, here's the next step in the process, maybe that's a fine place for it, right? Maybe that's a piece that it kind of relates to. I'll throw a few more up here as we kind of talk through this. Connor, I'd love to hear your thoughts because we went back and forth on some of these things and we even sort of debated some of these different things. I'm like, I don't know if I like that over here. I don't know if I like that over here. Um, what are some of your thoughts looking at these? I know there was some that really struck you in thinking about these real world examples of these.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you bring up the back and forth on this. I think some of you might be in the real estate business. Jeff Turner is a friend of mine, and he's been writing about humans' relationships with technology. And there was a voice bot produced by called Maya. Her name's Maya from a company called Sesame, and they talk about the uncanny valley of where you cross the line of where you really don't know, which is so like we're talking about human connection and the need for the human and the relationship and the emotional part. And I just want to bring up that we're going to be dealing with machines being able to do that even better than humans. And I know that sounds crazy, but like we are on our way to this, and it's something that we'll have to struggle through and go through. And so like when you see these things, I keep coming back to this very simplistic thought of is what are your values? How do you want to treat people? How does real trust built and all of that? And as the technology gets better and better at these things, we need to make decisions on what goes where. And so, really understanding what your values are and having them laid out and in front of you every day, you're looking at them like I've got them up on the wall and I got them written down and I write them down and I ask myself, am I living these values? Like, are these values still true? And so yeah, anyway, sorry, that's
No, this is, and it's
another
interesting.
soapbox kind of thing.
Well, it's so funny when you said the machines potentially could do it better at some point. I don't know why that instantly triggered like the early 1900s assembly line, like in a very different technological way. I guarantee a lot of humans felt that way at that time, going like, "Oh my gosh, they're bringing in machines to replace what we can do." Now it sort of feels like these are kind of using our image and likeness and trying to do it better than we can do it, but they are us. And there's like this kind of confusion there. But I think there's also really great questions. Terry, you've been a bomb bomber for so long, and I am so glad to see you here again. That's a great question, and I think something that's really important for us to continue to talk about and consider is this. For so many of these use cases, why not just use a bomb bomb to create a real video once for the clients, right? And I think that's a really important question. Connor, you and I, again, were debating and going back and forth on this yesterday. I think one of the things that I try to always keep in context in my brain, and Terry, maybe you feel this way because you've been doing it for so long, is this idea of Bomb Bomb feels pretty easy for me at this point. It feels natural for me because I've done so many. I think I've got almost 11,000 videos in my account, right? So it's not hard for me to hit the record button. What's so interesting, and I would love if some of you throw this in chat if you feel this way, that's not true for everyone, right? So while a video could be more impactful in a lot of ways, it's not simple and easy for a lot of people to just go click that record button and feel comfortable and confident doing that. I know I can screw up. I know I can have ums and uhs and forget what I'm going to say and keep putting that when it comes to the authenticity element of how we assess other humans. I love that, right? I've had some of the funniest videos and most successful videos is when my dog comes in and like jumps on my lap and I wasn't ready for it. And people love it, right? Like that's not how I planned that to be, but people love those kind of things. So Terry, I don't think you're wrong personally. From a personal opinion, I like doing the human videos. I like building that real human connection. I know that's not necessarily true for everybody. I know it doesn't feel as comfortable in that. And so, thinking about how do I do this at scale? How do I keep up with things? I was working with our support team yesterday and they were talking about, we're trying to make sure we have as personal of a connection with our clients that are needing help, but also we've got a lot of tickets that we've got to get through, and that is a push and pull that we're all trying to evaluate and kind of figure out, in this argument as well. So um I do want to jump over and I want to kind of play this game because we've got like 10 minutes left. So I do want to play this game that I've so eloquently named Avatar or Human. Now, when you see that, I realize it probably makes you think one thing and the game's actually a little bit different. I'm actually going to show you real human videos. I don't have actual Avatar video clips other than that one that I showed you earlier of myself. But what I want to question and ask is I'm going to play these videos and I want you to think, does this feel like a situation in a moment that is really important for it to be human? Or could this potentially be an Avatar one? And I've put three questions that I think are really helpful to help you kind of navigate and ask that. Is this about information or intent? Is this low stakes or high stakes? And what is the recipient asking? Are they going to be asking, what does this mean? Or who is behind this? Are we starting to give questions like that from the human perspective or not? So here's the first one I'm going to play for you. This is actually just a congratulations video. Watch it, think about it, throw your input in chat there of what you think. Does this need to be human or could this be an avatar one?
Jennifer, I wanted to send you a quick video to say congratulations on your closing last week. Diane and I are super grateful for you. My name is Jennifer Casmer. I'm the business development rep that works with Diane and her amazing team, and I always love to follow up just to say, number one, thank you for allowing us to close with us. Oh. And number two, if you had a great
Probably helps if I share the actual right screen, huh? So you guys can see the video that I'm actually playing. That might make it a little bit better for you, huh? Sorry about that. Oh, let me go grab that and I'll send it to you. Okay, let's start it over. You probably heard her talking, but I'll just play the first few seconds of this.
Jennifer, I wanted to send you a quick video to say congratulations on your closing last week. Diane and I are super grateful for you. My name is Jennifer Casmer. I'm the business development rep that works with Diane and her amazing team, and I always love to follow up just to say, number one, thank you for allowing us to close with us. And number two, if you had a great experience or Sorry, the volume's a little poor. I know a lot of you were throwing that in chat that the audio is kind of hard to hear. I'll make sure mine's turned up as loud as possible and it's shared and everything. But what do you think from a congratulations video standpoint, right? Like a congratulations, we're so glad you worked with us and chose us. Congrats on the closing of your home. She does go on to ask for a review. If you had a good experience, we'd love your feedback. We'd love a review. What do you think? I'm just really curious. I do see a decent number of human ones. I did see some avatar ones kind of at the top. So this is where we get that give or take, right? Of yeah, avatar human. It could be real looking and customized name, and then a avatar with a great script is perfect. See, this to me is so fascinating, and I loved it. And this is why it needs to be a conversation because you all have such different perspective of what I come in. I'm gonna be honest with you. I put this one up there going, this needs to be human. I feel like this needs to be a human moment because that joy, that congratulations feels very human. I'm I'm not alone in that, but there's different perspectives. So we're asking ourselves these three questions going, does this need to be a human moment or not? And maybe it's a different answer for all of us. I think that's okay too, right? I can have a different answer of this is what I want to get across in this. And Terry, Virgil, you can have a totally different answer of that perspective as well. So I love that. I think this is so fascinating and so interesting. Let's jump to another one here. I'll give you another one. So here's one. This was sort of mentioned in chat a little bit earlier, but frequently asked questions, next steps in the process. Let me see if I can crank the volume up a little bit to help. I know I'm sharing the sound, so who knows why it's low on your end, but I'll turn my volume up on my computer just to see if that'll help. All right, let's watch this one and let me know what do you think, human or avatar?
Hey there, thanks again so much for hiring us to sell your home and help you experience success with your real estate goals. If you're keeping track with our process, we're over here on item 10. and this is Prepare the House videos. In this series, you're going to get a number of videos that are going to tell you about what needs to happen next.
Okay, so I won't make you watch the full 2 minute video. Connor, I just see you smiling. So what are you seeing that's making you laugh?
I just love everybody lighting up Avatar. I think it's so interesting. I'm loving this feedback from everybody. It's as we do customer interviews, over the last year, this has really changed.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is really changed. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I love this. This is amazing. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, it's just wonderful feedback. And honestly, my personal opinion on this, I think an FAQ could potentially be an avatar video. I think that's okay, right? This doesn't feel like it's an emotional thing. It's a here's the next step, here's what we need from you sort of mentality. So that's my opinion. Again, not saying that's the 100% right, but okay, here's the last one I want to show you. And then I've got one more example that I'm just want to provoke with a little bit here. But bad news. When you've got to deliver bad news to a client, regardless of what that is, this is actually a bomb example from a previous employee that we used to have. And I'll play it for you. Again, throw it in there. What do you think?
Hey, Megan, we do hear you. We hear you. We take it very seriously that you are in such a place of frustration and disillusionment with us. Wherever we drop the ball, we want to pick that up and fix it. And so I'm here to, it could have been maybe I dropped the ball and failed you as an onboarding trainer. I've got Aaron.
Okay, so we may have found one with a consensus here, Connor. We've got a lot of human in this one. So I think I think
I think probably everybody wants to get it from a human, but they want the avatar to actually deliver it for them.
yeah, that's true, right? We don't want to be the person that has to admit, like, oh, shoot. All right. So I know we've only got a few minutes left. So I'm going to play one more example for you. And I want to provoke and hear what you all think about this. This sort of goes a little bit on potentially what Terry was saying earlier
Yes.
of could
Mhm.
we do human videos that we can scale? So we've talked for years and years and years here at Bomb Bomb of this idea of what we call an evergreen video.
Mhm.
I'll give you a little bit of a teaser. You've actually already seen one. The idea is that it's a video that I don't say, hey, Connor, it's Kevin. It's not a personal one-to-one for that exact moment video. It is a video that I can record and use time and time again. So it's more specific to a moment or a situation or when something happens there. So I'm going to play this. And I just want to hear what you guys think about it. This is actually an intro video where a person wanted to intro themselves to leads that were coming in online. And I would love to hear your perspective on this. Do you think this is a potentially a middle ground solution, or what are your thoughts?
It's Taylor from St. James Volkswagen. Just wanted to reach out with a quick video to introduce myself and put a face to the name so you know who you're talking to here. I'm happy to be a part of this vehicle search with you and helping to find you the perfect car. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm here to help. But in the meantime, take care and I hope to hear from you soon. Bye.
So pretty straightforward. 20 seconds long. That's a video. Again, this is a real human video. All the ones I've showed are actual humans. So I think what's interesting is, do you think that's a potential like middle ground of I don't need to go buy an avatar system and make that. Could I do these type of videos for specific situations? It's something I've used a lot. It's helped me when I was in sales be more scalable, reach out on certain situations. I highly promote this regardless of what you think about this whole topic, right? This is just a really good strategy to use. So if you're looking at something actionable, the best way you can start to use evergreen videos, in my opinion, is start writing down what are the questions I answer a lot. What's a question I get just so consistently and have to answer it time and time again? The beauty of recording this type of video is you've got it saved in BombBomb. You can grab it and send it out and then personalize the text around that to the person, right? Oh my gosh, I actually have a video recorded that'll walk you through this exact answer. Take a look here. Again, we're building trust because we're not lying. It's still us. It's still us as a human, but it allows us to do some of those different things. So uh, I want to go ahead and close out here. We do have a couple of questions. I'll stick around for a few minutes and answer any questions that anybody has. But what do you walk away from in this conversation? One, I do think avatars could be a really great solution for scaling video, but we've got to be really intentional about what types of videos are we scaling. I think what's hard is as salespeople, we're told we've got to check off a lot of things. We got to do a lot of activities. We've got to reach out to a lot of people. Is that the right opportunity to throw a bunch of avatar videos in? Or is that going to be hard to come back from because that first impression is hard to replace? Ask that question for yourself with your business, right? I think humans are the best for creating connection. I do inherently believe in the human connection, the human quality, our ability to communicate, for people to see us, see all of the emotion and all the things that come through that. I mean, you guys see, I'm a very handsy person. I move my hands a lot, right? So when the avatar did that, some of you even noted like the hands feel a little off and feel a little weird. Okay, these are things that you're noticing and picking up on that I may not have noticed or thought about when I was recording or sending that video. So I do believe inherently in that human value. And then write these questions down. I am going to send, a lot of people have asked, these are great slides. Can I get these slides? 100%. We will send these in the follow up email. But use these as some base questions of going, I want to explore it. I want to play with it. Would this be a situation for me to use an avatar or not? Use these questions as a, if it's an obvious no, then you will know for yourself that that's something I need to record and spend the time on doing. So I'll leave those with you. We'll send those with you. But I know at the top of the hour, I want to make sure that we give you these last little elements. So if these conversations are really fun, if you enjoy being a part of these, you guys were so engaged today, which thank you. It's such a blessing and it's so much fun to see all of this content. And we will definitely, rewatch and look through all the chats. But we are doing these every single month. So next month, we've got an awesome topic, kind of reality versus reasonable. And this sort of goes with some of the scalability, the ability to do that. Sometimes the expectations from sales leaders, from teams, make it really hard to do personal video. How do we find this balance? How do we do that? We're going to explore that and some strategies, not only if you are a leader of a sales team, but also if you are a salesperson. How do you match those expectations and also build the trust and communication there? So I threw the chat in if you want to sign up for that. I believe it's also just in the Zoom, so you can kind of jump in and do that. But thank you all for being here. We really appreciate. Again, I think BombBomb has the best community of any company in the world because you're people that care. You're people that have opinions and are willing to listen. You are leaning into that human quality to what Connor was talking about earlier. It's just such a pleasure to do that. So if you have to jump, please feel free to do that. I know a couple of you have a hard stop here. Get off and jump onto those next things. But Connor, if you were to summarize this whole hour that we've been talking, maybe it's not even about Avatar specifically, but something that you, as the CEO of this video company, would want people to hear and understand about this topic, about us. I know it's a big question. I just put you on the spot, but what would you leave with? Where would you finish on that?
Be curious. It's a core value of BombBomb. I've been really curious about this. For quite a few years, I was stuck and was not curious about this until about a year and a half ago. I really started jumping into the technology and starting to understand what it was and how it could be used to help build human connection. And so curiosity is, is my favorite thing,
Mhm.
is just like, if if you continue to be curious, I think you'll continue to grow as a human. And yeah, I just encourage our whole company, everybody, to continue to do that because curiosity is how we grow.
I can vouch for that. He does very much encourage us. Go explore other stuff. Find other different ways to do this. Let's see what's going on. And what's beautiful about that is maybe you do find a better solution, or maybe you reinforce why we are doing it the way we're doing it, right? So thank you all. Connor, thank you for being here. What a pleasure to just get to share this, get to hear your insights, get to hear your perspective on all this. I know I've seen a bunch of people just saying, Connor, so great you're here. So nice to meet you. Thank you. So thank you for your time. It's such a pleasure. Uh,
Yeah, thank you to everybody. It
to all
was
of
it
you
was
out there,
great being here. Mhm.
awesome. Well, we loved having you and you added so much to it for sure. To all of you out there, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for leaning in. Thank you for trying every day to connect more with other humans. Bring that into your work. I, again, firmly believe that differentiates you from a lot of people out there. You care. People need to see you. So if we can help in any way, always reach out to us. We're always here to support you. Otherwise, click on that link, sign up for next month's webinar. We want to continue talking about this stuff. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your February, beginning of March. Welcome to sort of end of winter. Are we getting to the end of winter? I don't know when it changes. We appreciate you all. Have a great month. We'll talk to you soon, okay? Bye, everybody.